Hey guys, Shadylikeatree here, and welcome into my review of inFamous Second Son. Right now I have no gameplay selected for you, but what I'm going to do is, as I record this video, go through and try to pick out some relevant scenes that apply to what I'm discussing. So first off, I want to share how much I've played of the game. I have played the entire good portion of the game. I have played the entire evil portion of the game, minus the final battle. I have played the Cole's Legacy pack, which took me about 20 minutes, and I also have played the Paper Cranes add-on as well, the additional power. And so, in total, I think I've logged 21 hours in this game, which I'm very happy with. I got all the added bonus content, I think, ordering it through GameStop and also getting the collector's edition for $79.99. As many of you may have already seen my unboxing, which contained, you know, the hat and some pins and some buttons and some stickers and other things like that. So all of that is gone. So let's get right into it. There are minor spoilers here in the beginning, but there will reach a time here further down on the list of topics and things I'd like to discuss in which there will be major spoilers. When that time is coming, I will make a big announcement. There will be flashing neon signs. There will be loud noises and big words just everywhere, and you will know when that time has come. But in the meantime, there will only be minor spoilers. I won't spoil the ending for you. There will be probably some footage from boss battles, but just to prove some mechanics, but without knowing any context. You can't really know what's going on. So, but again, that's for several minutes down the line, and we don't have to worry about any of that right now. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the visuals. This is probably the prettiest game I have ever seen. Yes, it's prettier than The Last of Us was on PlayStation 3. The facial expressions are just so real. Sucker Punch got the details completely right on this one, and it's absolutely brilliant. I did not have a single visual complaint about this game at all. There's not one thing visually I thought, oh, well, this could have been different if it was like this. This could have been different if it was like this. Minor spoiler right here. The neon power looks really cool. All the powers really look really cool. As well as all of the city, the people in the city. Delson looks really cool. Just everything looks visually amazing, and you're going to be able to see that the minute you start in a play. There's this beautiful Washington State scenery and all these animals and everything, and it's just really, really a pretty game. Anyway, moving on, I wanted to talk about the next thing is sound design. A lot of games, when I talk about a lot of games, I talk about how pretty they are, I talk about how good their mechanics work, but before, I've never really focused on sound as its own individual topic and sound design, but in this game, they really focused on that hardcore, and I was watching some preview videos, and I didn't really notice it so much when I was actually playing the game, but immediately following the conclusion of my good playthrough, I just kind of messed around for a little bit, kind of blowing up the DUP stuff, and I actually heard it, and it made me think of this for my review, is you hear the difference between metal pipes on metal pipes, and metal pipes on concrete, and wood on concrete, and wood on wood, and wood on pipes, and wood on brick, and all the different things sound differently, so all the different conclusions, so there's no two collisions that sound exactly the same, you know, especially when you're blowing up these huge things and they come down. You hear the creaking of metal bending, you hear the disintegration of, you know, concrete when it hits other things, you hear metal on metal, you hear all these different sounds, and in that, you know, it kind of just adds that extra layer of realism to the point where I didn't even notice it. You know, and I feel kind of bad for saying that, but I didn't really notice it on my first playthrough. But I kind of became more aware of it during my evil playthrough and later on in the game. You could hear, you know, glass breaking sounding different depending on where it was hitting and things like that. So all in all, I'm really appreciative of the sound design, the soundtrack. Let me talk about the soundtrack really quickly. You open the game with a very kind of grungy song, and you end the game on during the credits, you hear a Nirvana song Heart-Shaped Box, which is one of their more popular songs during the credits. And I think with it being from Seattle, getting kind of the grungy music feel really kind of draws you into the city and draws you into their kind of music and that genre. And it helps kind of solidify the game in Seattle, even if it is set slightly in, I think, the distant or the near future. So, moving on to mechanics. Mechanics were really good across the board. I only have 2 real problems with the game, and there's a couple mechanics that are one of those problems. The other is in the story, which I'll get to here in a little bit. I would say all the mechanics worked. I would say all the mechanics did exactly what they were supposed to do. But I struggled in the final boss scene. I was getting what I will call, to not spoil anything, I will call them missiles, because that's really what they are, large projectiles. I will say that they were being shot at me 5 at a time, and the way the spread was, or the way that they were like designed where they were going to go next, it always seemed like I was being led in front and led behind and being shot at, so it was incredibly difficult to dodge. And on the final boss battle, the final boss battle and then the one prior to that, I died so many times, and you didn't see that in my Let's Play, but I am planning on uploading a video, a death montage, because I kind of raged pretty hard on that. So I thought I would upload that. But yeah, it just seemed like it worked, and it would be what you would want to do if it were real life, but in a game it made it incredibly difficult. I died probably 20 times, got really frustrated, and it brought me out of the gaming experience, and it didn't really help progress the story along. And also, there was, there were a lot of new, cool, good features I did like. The DUP patrols worked really well. I also think the camera system, there's these DUP cameras that you have to shoot off the walls. If they see you using your power, they'll make noise. They'll alert soldiers in the area that you're there, and they need to take you out. So if you just blast it really quickly, it kind of eliminates the problem, helps you clear the district faster, and you don't have DUP on your back all the time when you get rid of the cameras. And the cameras weren't overly common. There were some hidden cameras. There were some not so hidden cameras. But overall, I liked that implementation. I hope they bring that back for any DLC or any future inFamous games, because that was just really kind of interesting and cool, and a new element that, while it added a very little bit of challenge, it added some extra fun, and it was another way to change it up. Because one of my chief complaints of this game and all of the other inFamous games is that there's a ton of repetition. You're constantly repeating yourself. You're constantly got to do this, you got to go here, you got to do this. So you're constantly repeating yourself, and that kind of, it threw another element in the mix to kind of break up the monotony of the game sometimes. I also like the implementation of the new controller on PS4. The move, whenever you'd have to do spray paint, you'd have to use the controller kind of like a paintbrush. You'd have to paint it on there with like the spray paint, which it was difficult to use at first, but as I got more and more comfortable with it and more used to it, it became kind of second nature to me, and paintings didn't take very long. And also the implementation of the touchpad to both drain power, to perform actions, to start missions was a welcome sight. And then also to use it in certain functions like lifting doors, so it was like you actually had to, on some level, actually physically lift the door or move a door or exit a door. That was really kind of the cool part of it all. So those are some of the cool mechanics, and I, like I said, across the board they worked. There were just a couple that maybe I didn't like because I thought they made the game too difficult and drew me out of the experience. Spoiler time. There are spoilers following this. We are going to talk about the story, and I'm going to give my final thoughts, but there are spoilers. So woo. Do not progress if you have not played the story and wish to be unspoiled from the game, because I am about to drop a big fat one on you. So if you would like to not be spoiled on the game, click off the video right now. Okay, guys. So the story was unpredictable and entertaining. As I've said before in this video, it was also somewhat repetitive. and I've said that in far. There are a lot of places, especially on the final boss battle, where I thought there were a few two checkpoints where it seemed like right off the bat, I got a little bit of health down off of the boss, and then you had to go like 80% of the way to kill it, and then you could move on. Well, I died with like 10% health or so left each time. I felt like maybe at half there should be a checkpoint, maybe at a quarter there should be a checkpoint somewhere. Should have been a more checkpoint there. You have to climb a tower right before you face the final boss. I fell off that a couple times and had to climb all the way back up to the top. When you beat the video guy Eugene, I had to I played that mission I don't know how many times, but I just kept dying and dying and dying to him, and it were a lot of checkpoints in there, but I didn't feel like there were enough, and I just kept dying. I died so much trying to beat him. It was mainly that boss level, and the final boss level is really where I died the most, and I probably got 100 deaths between the two scenes. I felt like the choices you're given in this game were great. There weren't too many, so it's not like there's 100 different options, but each choice has a certain consequence, and I really like that, and I think that's a good idea. I liked the good story better, just because I didn't think it was as sad. The bad story kind of made me sadder, but there was more destruction and more fire and more flames and things like that. Yeah, and I didn't think the choices were too much and there were too many and it took away from the game, but I think it was a pretty good balance on that. Another chief complaint I had with the story was that the ending was kind of drug out and it was very anticlimactic. So there's the first ending where you go up and you storm the tower with Hank, and then in the good playthrough especially, Reggie dies. And then, you get all mad at her, and then you beat her once, and then she goes back to her tower, and then you chase her back to her tower, and all the people love you on the bridge or hate you on the bridge, and then you go and you're given the choice to either expose her or kill her. I think with the good ending especially, it just felt like it felt a lot like a repeat of the first battle, even though technically, she wasn't spinning all that crap around. She'd actually kind of taken on this role of that huge monster spider thing, and also kind of a snake when she would do that those two particular moves. But I just feel like there was just too many times that she had to be hit for it to be kind of fun, and that kind of takes away from the experience. And plus, she had to do it twice. And I was really disappointed with the first kind of boss battle. I felt like that should have been better and more epic. And then maybe you can get rid of the second one because you can be content with the first one. I don't know. But to me, it seemed like there was just too many endings. So you defeat her the first time. Oh, great, Reggie's dead. Now what do we do? Now we need to free the city. Oh, what was me? My brother just died. And then you got to go face her again. Luckily, with the help of your friends. But all in all, I just think it was anticlimactic and just not as good as it maybe could have been. It was still very good, but it wasn't as moving of a game to me, especially on the good side, which I'm primarily talking about here because that was kind of my first raw experience with this, and my raw emotion is that it just seemed to just be anticlimactic and just be kind of meh, You don't really feel like you really accomplish anything. I mean, you learn about her background and how she sold out another conduit, and that's how she went down this path. And you learn about choices and how one choice can lead to this choice, which can lead to this choice. And you kind of see her evil path and how she's kind of evolved over the years, and how she's become the person that she's become. But I just thought, it could have ended a little differently. It could have ended a little sooner, or they should have beefed it up quite a bit and maybe done some different things that we didn't see. So, those were kind of my nitpicks for the story. All in all, I really loved the game. It was visually outstanding. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 5 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. So I mean, it did have some minor issues. Like I said, a couple of the mechanics just bothered me. It wasn't that they didn't work; it's just they bothered me, and that pulled me out of the experience. Which is what really, to give a game a 9 or a 10, it has to be a truly head and shoulders above the competition, and it has to be kind of a perfect experience where I'm just in the zone with the game. The Last of Us is just a game where I'm just in the zone the whole time. I'm not bugged by it. I'm not bothered by it. And I was moved by it. And I wasn't particularly moved by the ending of this game. It was sad, certainly, that Reggie died in the good part when I played through that, but it wasn't heartbreaking. It wasn't. I didn't have to pause the game and take a minute like I did in some of the other games I've played more recently. So yeah, that's why I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the review right here, guys. I hope you have enjoyed my review. I have the Let's Play still ongoing. I have the other inFamous videos to watch, so I'll put some of those in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.